Lock and load. Oh. Yes. At least if you were at least believing you're in, there's the hope that you're going to get out. Yeah, that can go pretty far. Produce a lot of purpose. All right, I'm gonna get out of this situation or whatever. But the dilemma is the inness, because that, while we're playing all this, there's that other thing going on, which is in AA they captured perfectly with self can't get out of self. I cannot imagine how much meaning is in that over the years now. I mean, if it could be downloaded and transcribed in volumes, but the meaning is so rich, you don't have to stretch it out in words. Yeah, it captures the whole fundamentalness of it all, and it's sort of like it's like those warnings on a cigarette pack. First you got to be a smoker, then you see the warning. So first you haven't experienced quite a lot, or the effects of self trying to get out of self, but you don't know that's the dilemma. So you're believing people are stopping me or doing this, or somehow I'm fundamentally flawed. And you have a lot of stories about why things were, and then you hear a simple statement, self can't get out of self, and suddenly tons of it's explained, like beautifully, cleanly, like one swoosh of the blade just chops tons of stuff down. Yeah, so the self can't get out of self just captured so many years of living for me. And then of course the double lock of the system is that which arises and hears the message, self can't get out of self, is also constructed as self. Yeah? So that which is in selfing, trying to get out of selfing, hears the message that self can't get out of self, yet it tries now, it's the same thing though. The self tries to use the message that self can't get out of self as a way to get out of self. Yeah? Just as what's happening with this message of non-duality. Non-duality is heard, maybe you get that hit, that it's a fact, yeah? It's like an unspoken yes, or it becomes like a last answer to you. But the mental state claims to be the one going to these talks, claims to be the one who heard the message of non-duality, and of course the only way it can frame it is in a dualistic way. So now, once again, self is trying to get out of self, but through non-self. Yeah? It figures it's found the perfect way out, which is I'm going to become a non-self, but as a self. Yeah? So it gets whacked. Where self can't get out of self doesn't lead to anything. It's just a statement of clarity. Yeah? It's not motivated. It's not meant to start the marching ahead. It's about a disarming, or like just sitting there and going and having it hit. Yeah? Self can't get out of self, or all those other little cryptic statements like what's looking is what you're looking for. It's just a mind-boggling statement. It saves so much. It lays waste to so much stuff. If you hear it, what's looking is what you're looking for. Then you have a sense of all the looking for that was misdirected, yeah? Because all the while, if you're hearing his message, he's saying all the looking for was looking for what's looking, which blows your mind. Because All right, what's looking is what you're looking for. All right, I've been looking for what I call what's looking, but I thought what's looking was something other than me. Yeah? I thought what's looking was God, or what's looking is the universe or the spirit, and I'm something else. Yeah? So I've been busy looking for what's looking. Yeah? But he's saying what's looking is what you're looking for. So at that moment, I'm looking for what's looking. That's what I'm looking for. What's looking. Yeah? So the idea that what's looking is a goal or an object I'm going to attain gets immediately dismissed. Yet you see how as soon as the mental state develops you, then what's looking becomes a goal for you to have. And more importantly, it's a goal for you to lose. And usually, if the historical thing is you've lost it already, that's why you're looking for it. Because it would make no sense to look for what you already have. Would it? It would make no sense. There would be no logic towards looking for something if you already had it. So obviously, the what's looking I'm looking for can't be what I am. It has to be something I want to find. Yeah. Again, why? Because the emphasis goes back on me. And the me being this cannot possibly be what's looking, even though what's looking is the only event happening. Yeah. So then, all right, you go through tons of stuff, and then you get to the statement, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Once again, if it doesn't go like this, and light up the whole fucking board, yeah? That's what it does with me. You hear it, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Oh, guilty, seems like, yeah. Really, I can sense, I spent years in the land of the Buddha, Thailand, looking for the Buddha, with the Buddha. It's just mind-boggling, yeah, to me. What's one to do? What's one to do that all the drive to do things had a purpose? What happens when that purpose is removed? What happens if you've been stopped sufficiently to realize you can't turn the engine on anymore? Something's going to have to direct it. Something else is going to have, another modality is going to have to download. It can't be what me as what's looking for what's looking anymore. Yeah? I can't be improving what's looking through the middle person of Paul. Yet Paul is very persistent. It doesn't go anywhere. That was the hope. I was hoping when I saw I wasn't Paul, poop. No, Paul is Pauling like fucking crazy. You know what I mean? And Pauling needs a way of life to keep Pauling on the straight and narrow. Yeah? Pauling is totally overmatched. Yeah? And it can't use what it is to get ahead. It can't take an advantage with it. And especially people who are dealing with money and shit like that don't give a fuck about the message. They're like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. You've got to do this and this. And you're like fucking overwhelmed. You know what I mean? You're overmatched completely. Yeah? You just want to go curl up in a ball and go, fuck it. Mommy, surrender. So surrender is it. I just feel like surrendering. You know? I've just had it. Just had it. Like Dave Chappelle used to say, I've had it. So what seems a way more practical in this situation is the idea of surrender, where the action figure itself, see, this is never going to get, it's not this. It's pointless. Yeah? You don't want to waste any time trying to convince that it's not this. Convince, it doesn't, you can't say, oh, you don't have free will to this. Yeah? Because it's going to choose like a milk latte instead of a soy latte. It thinks it has free will. Yeah? It's built into the programming. You're missing the point. The message isn't to this. The message is to mind. The message is to what's looking. The message is to what's hearing. You don't have to just say what's looking is what you're looking for. You could go what's hearing is what you're hearing for, you know? What's tasting is what you're tasting for. What's feeling is what you're feeling for. Yeah? That alive onness, yeah? So the message has always been to something other than us. That's the only way it gets traction, because there's no need for fucking traction. Yeah? This is spinning its wheels. That is the whole terrain, everything, everywhere. There's no lack of grokking it. Yeah? There's no lack of understanding. It's always available at all times, right where we are, with no requirement necessary. Yeah? And then there's the story of Paul. For the story of Paul to even seem to happen, there's got to be a seeming separation from all that. Yeah? To waste time trying to convince that it's all this is pointless to me. It's just, see, you're not that. And then continue on with it and do and get what it needs to get done. Like for this, it needs a way of life. Surrender has been helpful in AA because I felt like I was overmatched. Yeah? So I took the principle of surrender, turning my will and my life over to the care of a higher power, and so far so good. It's having a rough patch right now, but basically most of its life it's worked. Yeah? And so it's been okay. You know, it can just graze and do what it's like, yeah? It doesn't go to highfalutin, important fucking meetings. It goes to Yankee blogs, yeah? It has a very simplistic little world that keeps its meaning way down, yes? It can't get highfalutin because it ain't doing anything that's highfalutin, yeah? It's just sort of humble basically because it's a Toyota. Yeah, it's quite clear, so it's fine there. Yeah. Thank God I'm not that. Thank God the freedom is always available. Thank God it's not based on this. If it was, it would have failed a long time ago. If it had it would have lost it. Not because, lost it like left it in a drawer or something. I left my wallet somewhere, that's gone now. It just goes, yeah? It's fucking things everywhere. Open up drawer, I find money. Wow, what the hell? It's there in a sock. Haven't worn a sweatshirt, money there. It's just like insane. It's amazing. I need glue, I need to stick them with everything. Just goes off, flying, yeah? Thank God I am what I'm looking for, yeah? Or I would have maybe gotten a D in this little event, as a grade. Jesus, thank God it was rigged. It was sort of like this thing I did years ago. I was going to teach English in Thailand, so I hadn't been in school in a long time, and there was a school in San Francisco, second language, whatever. You get this diploma. So I signed up for it. And I was in there, and it was sort of daunting until I realized it wasn't a fucking school. They would accredit that you get an accreditation for a couple thousand so these people could go to Czechoslovakia, But the first week or two, I thought I was in school again. Totally overmatched, you know what I mean? Trying to fucking study. And then I realized everyone passes, And it's just a deal, right? So then it was fine. But the first few weeks was very, very stressful because I hadn't gone to school in 15 years. And I was trying to do it, and then I realized, hey, you're not gonna fail, bro. What? Oh yeah, there's no test. This is all a big fucking charade. You give them $2,000, they'll give you this thing, yeah, and then you work in Thailand. You don't even need this to work, basically. I went to Thailand, I could get a job there with nothing, but So it was like a charade. Well, the same thing, man. The same. You feel so earnest and you're so sincere. Hey, it doesn't fucking matter. You are what you're looking for. There's not one thing I can do to block that off or to actually incite it. I can make it amplify it, but where will it be amplified? Only in time. Yeah? And all the amplification, all the peak experiences, all those wonderful epiphanies they're of time. There's no reality to them. They dissipate like all the other events. There's only that which is always available at all times. So the way I like it presented is to describe what you're not, yeah? And when hearing the descriptions of what we're not, there's a recognition of what we are, yeah? That we can't get by trying to recognize what we are from what we're not, yeah? So that fundamental movement of trying to recognize what we are from what we're not doesn't work. And many of us here have discovered that. So the way it has to happen then is you have to see what you're not, and in seeing what you're not, you discover, not like it's a new country, it's like they discovered America, but they didn't create America, you know? You discover what you are by recognizing what you're not. So when you hear presentations of what it's like not to be you, that's where, see, people want an experience of what they are, but they're having an experience of what they're not all day. That's the level of experience, is what you're not. So when we describe the experience of what you're not, other people will go, hey, that sounds very familiar. Yeah? And there's we all have, it's like we're all a big fleet of Fords, but we have different emblems, you know? So I think I'm a fucking Spike or whatever, and you're like a Viper. But it's the same chassis, just like all SUVs. They're the same chassis, same truck chassis. They just put fucking new shells and, you know, and then put a BMW emblem on, and then you're 30,000 more. Yeah? So if you hear a description of what you're not, and it triggers a recognition, then those statements like self can't get out of self, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, the seeker is the sought, all of them like are a symphony. They take that note and they really expound on it. And so by hearing just a little, you can hear a huge amount. Yeah? So suddenly, the dilemma, which was what's looking for itself, has been dismissed. You now you've stopped looking for yourself, or you stop identifying with that which is looking for itself, because the stopping looking for itself will continue probably, yeah? But you just see you're not that's looking for itself. That's all clear now, yeah? So you're not looking for what can't be found. Now, when you hear the old story of the necklace and the lady losing it and then recovering it, and when she lost it, she was totally bummed out. When she recovered it, she was totally blissful, but she had never lost it or recovered it, never gone anywhere. That makes complete sense. I mean, complete sense. And then it makes so much complete sense that you go and give talks, and then you share that with complete sense, and you watch people like dog go, what? And you're like, wait a minute, it makes total sense, and you're putting it that way, and that's what happens. It all just totally, completely makes sense. Yeah. Now you would wish it would translate, and I would be just like walking on water, like Jesus, but he probably didn't have a mortgage or a fucking loan. Yeah? Those tend to have little lead weights where basically if your head's above water, you're doing great. Basically. Fucking don't worry about walking on water. So now that simple thing though, which is the hiccup before all the albums, has been corrected. And when it's corrected, there was no need for a correction because it never actually happened. You see? This is the beautiful thing about correction in this. A timeless correction that's applied in time, when it kicks in, it tells you it's always been that way. Yeah? So you have a timeless correction, which is nothing ever happened. You hear it finally, you hear it in time, and then suddenly it hits you, and it's like it's always been this way. And if you see that, what did it just suddenly negate? Everything. It negated all your past conditions that you thought were relevant and true and sufficient to keep you from what you are. It immediately erases all future possibilities of it ever being different. And right now, it's completely that way. Yeah? Now, unfortunately, there's movement, time kicks in, and then you're running around, but it's stupid to hunt for it in time when you found it in timelessness. Yeah? It's there. It hasn't gone anywhere. All the time that seemingly came after it has not erased it. Yeah? You never lost the awakening. If something resonates with you, it's so. It doesn't have to appear to be so or not. It is so. Yeah? Don't let time outweigh timelessness. Don't weigh, well, it just got so bad for the next few years. But fuck, when you pass away, it'll be like it never happened. But what will not seem like it never happened will be that which is always happening. Because that's not going to pass away. You're going to have a strong sense of familiarity with it. Because you are it. Yeah? So, satsangs to me are to keep correcting that which doesn't need to be corrected. Yeah? So in time, you keep getting reminded of that which never needs to be remembered. Yeah? Yeah? So we're using time in a way, in a weird way, but to emphasize timelessness. So it's like the Course would always say, there's going to be a correction of that which never needed to be corrected. It's always implying, it's a little game of like three, the little three thing in time, yeah? So just like in time, it seems like you need a solution, yeah? But from the solution, there's no need for a solution, yeah? But in time, there's a need for a solution. Yeah? So all right, you find a solution in time, and then it dawns on you that it's always been this way. So obviously it negated the need for a solution. Yeah? So the solution negates the need for the solution. The solution of timelessness negates the need for the solution when it dawns. Yeah? When it's seemingly not dawning, then it looks like you need a fucking solution. Now, it's crazy to bite your nose off to spite your fucking face, so get a freaking solution. Yeah? And in the hopes, what will happen is, when you seem to get a solution and those situations that seem so paramount chill out, there you are again. Yeah. What's looking will be construed as you looking for what's looking once a fucking minute. But what happens if you see you're not that? Far out. This was never going to have eyes to see. It's like that old joke that Ramesh used to say. You're at a spiritual group and you go, all right, what do you want, $1 million or enlightenment? So everyone would go enlightenment. And he would go, well, I would take the $1 million because at least I'll be there to enjoy it. Yeah? So basically, that's how this is looking at it. Yeah? This wants to feel good now. Yeah? It hasn't worked well, so it's here. It's trying to find a sophisticated manner to maybe start at the point of being okay instead of trying to end up at the point of being okay. okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I'd much rather start at the point of okayness, and then maybe I could get lost along the way looking for okayness, yeah? Because it wouldn't have that much meaning because I'm okay. It works better, it does. But hey, let's say, okay, I'm not okay. You know, I work with a lot of people, and they're very adamant that they're not okay. I'm not okay, okay? You're not okay. So let's work towards a certain level of okayness, okay? So do this, do that, da 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 da. Yeah. But then what happens is, when they arrive there, they're not okay again sooner or later. So maybe you go through 50 of those. It's time you learn. So you go, okay, let's see. Is there a possibility I may not be that which is always unokay? Maybe. It seems like it. It seems like there's something in my life that comes before all my thoughts, which is consciousness. Yeah. There seems to be something that's the basis of my whole day that's not huffing or puffing. Doesn't seem to have any volition or discrimination. I mean, I've seen terrible things. I've seen beautiful things. The only way I can turn away from something is to move the head. Yeah, my eyes are going to see whatever they're pointed at. Yeah, so I would say maybe that is more of a demonstration of what I am, the consciousness in contact, than the story of being Paul, the body, and stuff like that. I don't think it's a big leap, is there? I mean, if you broke down what's happening right now, there is a commonality we're all in right now. We're in different chairs, we're in different outfits, we have different eyewear, we have different hats, we have different face hair, we have no hair sometimes. All this going on. You can see tons of differences in this little example, but the commonality obviously isn't. And then you could go, well, we have two legs, but I don't have two legs really. So you could be omitted from the commonality of the physicality, but the consciousness is the baseline, isn't it? There's seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, and it's not. I don't see it sweating. You know, it's not like this is tough seeing today. You know what I mean? I started so good Monday. I was seeing HD now. No, it just seems to be always available all the time. Same quality. No fucking Comcast to shut it down or anything. Yeah, you don't have to pay any bills. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Is it that a big of a leap to see that as me, really? Or at least to capture that as what I am? Or what I aming? I would say the I aming is consciousness, yeah? So let's question then everything after that you could say is not me, yeah? So what would happen if I saw that which I've assumed to be me not to be me? Maybe you would travel lighter over the travails that await the action figure. And maybe if you traveled lighter for a long enough period of time, you'd be onto something, yeah? And maybe by being onto something, by hanging out with other people, they would recognize, hey, there's something to be onto here, yeah? And then get these warnings so that you don't make the fundamental mistake of looking for yourself with yourself, yeah? And then come back and keep repeating this idea, and more there'll be a loss of interest in shit that you can lose interest in, yeah? And a gain of interest in that which is incredibly potent if you have interest in, yeah? It's nice to be awake to being awake. So yeah, there you have it. The flavor is to see that little glitch of it's like the clone hearing the message, it's the clone, would go so well, yeah? It would be super direct. Clone, you're a clone. From one clone to another clone, you're a clone. That would be it. I mean, it would be very quick communication. Established, the clone would never think it wasn't a clone ever then. You know, it would be clear. But the thing is, this is what happens with all of us. You come here, you hear the message, The clone has human programming, so when the message, it's a clone and it's fast, human programming is so fast that when it arises, it says it's already been established. See, that's what identification does, yeah? When identification arises, it says it's historically been identified. It's a moving time. So here's the message. I'm a clone, and the clone's like only a foot away. You know, it's really fast. Sound, you know, speed of sound, whatever. I'm a clone. You're a clone. Yeah. But what happens? It doesn't matter how close they are. The mental state's going to capture it. It's going to catch it like a mitt and going to go. But I'm Bill from fucking Boston, and I have Red Sox season tickets, and I had an epidemic, or whatever, a biopsy or something. You know, the whole story will arise, and now hearing that it's a clone sucks. It's totally like a bummer. Yeah? That isn't just, that's happening all day. And there's no process that's faster than it. That's why it loves processes. Do you think that which is dreaming time is going to have something in time be able to beat it? No fucking way. It doesn't, it's like that movie Westworld. It's going to win every gunfight. It's never going to be outdrawn. Yeah, you can't beat it. You know? So the solution is to see you're not the human programming. And then, yeah. It's like when I heard that time with I had that gray pant, the gray shirt and the red pants, which I thought were really cool. And I swear, I would have on a stack of Bibles said it was a gray shirt and a red pair of pants. And then one day it was corrected. My friend said they're magenta pants and a pink shirt. And I saw them as pink and magenta and never not to see them as pink and magenta again. Even though I had assumed they were gray and red for months. As soon as it was corrected, I didn't have to keep going back in the closet. Let's see, you know. They were always magenta and pink. They had never been gray or red. Yeah? That's it. That's exactly what it's like. And I believe all of us have heard it on that level. I do. Yeah? Just let it do its cooking. You know, and this ain't the only stove in the fucking universe. You know? Yeah, it's just more going on than here. So, all right. Any questions? No? You want to shut that off? Yeah, shut it off.